The excavation team saw a pipe going underground in the middle of a dense forest. This was quite a surprise because where they were standing was an old dead volcano that was completely covered by trees and grass. It was decided to send a night vision camera to look inside the pipe. When the camera went inside, after going down about 30 meters, a scene of a huge tunnel was captured. It was March 7, 2018, and the excavation team was about to see something unique 30 meters below the ground near the city of Luban in southern Poland. Welcome back to the videos of Past Empires. When the camera was rotated inside this tunnel, they surprisingly saw a track there. They were still in the same dilemma. What was the use of the track here? A mine cart standing in the distance caught their attention. When the local authorities found out, they brought a map of a lost tunnel during World War II. It turned out that this tunnel was built about 80 years ago during World War II, and for the past several years, local authorities have been searching for the same tunnel. The entrance to the tunnel was blocked by heavy stones, and years of soil and weeds have erased the signs of its entrance. But from the inside, the tunnel matched the tunnel shown on the map. Looking at the tracks and mine carts inside, it seems that it was used to store supplies during World War II. Most of the iron equipment in the tunnel was rusty. Tools like shovels, drill bits, and spades were found here in the same condition as they were kept by military soldiers 80 years ago. During World War II, countries like the United States and Britain were competing with countries like Nazi Germany and Japan. During this time, Hitler's army built thousands of underground bunkers. Of course, Hitler started it, but later the Allied forces also built underground tunnels, and bunkers began to be used. During World War II, bunkers had great strategic importance and were intended for both defense and offense. That is, sometimes their function was to avoid enemy attacks, sometimes they were used to attack the enemy. These bunkers protected the enemy from airstrikes and artillery shells and provided a secure base for soldiers. Defensive bunkers were designed on the front line in such a way that they could prevent enemy attacks, like Germany's Atlantic Wall, which was a strong barrier against attacks by Allied forces. At the same time, some bunkers were used for planning, from where commanders secretly managed their operations. So many underground bunkers and war rooms were constructed in World War II that it is not possible to count them even today because thousands of them are still buried somewhere underground. It is said that in World War II, the Allied powers and the Axis powers relied so much on underground bunkers. What was the cost? There was a shortage of iron and cement all over the world. According to an estimate, the cost of building all these bunkers was approximately $500 billion to $1 trillion in today's terms. Let's imagine that the US spent $300 million daily in the 20-year war in Afghanistan. So in World War II, $460 million daily was spent on building bunkers. This is the cost that was spent on construction alone. It is also difficult to estimate the cost of manpower, logistics and ammunition in World War II. Let's go back in time and learn about a few bunkers. The Atlantic Wall was a massive coastal defense system built by North Sea Germany during World War II. It stretched along the European coastline for 2,400 miles, 3,800 kilometers with the aim of protecting it from Allied attacks from the sea. Built between 1940 and 1944, the system included thousands of bunkers, ammunition depots and forts. At that time, Hitler also occupied many areas of France. A part of the Atlantic Wall also extended to the Normandy region of northern France, where an artillery battery called the launch servo was installed. These bunkers were designed to face heavy bombardments and provide defensive fire during attacks. As for Norway, its lower part could have served to stop Allied forces coming from the North Atlantic Ocean, so Hitler also built parts of the Atlantic Wall here. Here, fortresses like Kristiansand built naval roads. In addition, the Netherlands was also under the control of the North Sea at that time, and thousands of bunkers called Seafen were built on the North Atlantic coast here. The entire Atlantic Wall of North Sea Germany, which included underground bunkers, depots, tunnels, artillery batteries, and forts, was built by a German engineer named Fritz Dott. All these structures were forcibly built by 260,000 workers, most of whom were prisoners, in just 2 to 4 years. Even today, some parts of the Atlantic Wall exist as historical events that give a sense of the engineering of World War II and the expense involved in it. When Hitler built the Atlantic Wall, the Allied powers had no idea at that time how much difficulty they would have to face going forward. Then in 1942, an incident happened that opened the eyes of the United States and the British. Canadian forces, which were part of the Allied powers, planned an attack on the BEP area of France, which is now remembered as the Deep Raid. The aim of this attack was to understand how Hitler's Atlantic Wall worked. These strong concrete bunkers thwarted the Allied attack. Allied troops who were trying to land on the coastline fell victim to the powerful crossfire of the North Sea Germans. This was a huge shock to the Allied forces because they had not expected so much from the strength of the Atlantic Wall. This mission involved 6,000 flight soldiers, of whom 3,600 were either killed or taken prisoner by the North Sea. After the deep raid, the Allied sources realized that if they wanted to successfully attack Hitler's government, they would also have to invest heavily in planning bunkers and defense systems. Therefore, the United Kingdom, France, and the Soviet Union, as well as Canada, spent a lot of money on the construction of bunkers and tunnels. The Churchill War Rooms were an underground complex built in London. It was the headquarters of British Prime Minister Winston Churchill during World War II. The complex was specifically designed to protect the North Sea from German airstrikes. France's Maginot Line, which was built after World War I, also featured new underground bunkers and tunnels. The French believed that this system would protect them, but in World War II, Germany bypassed the Maginot Line and occupied France through Belgium. On the other side of the world, Japan, which was supporting Hitler in World War II, also dug hundreds of underground bunkers. An entire network was built under the Iwo-sama, which included hidden artillery positions, storage rooms, and living quarters. These tunnels were used for surprise attacks during the invasion of Allied forces. The bunkers and tunnels of Okinawa were much larger and more complex, where thousands of Japanese soldiers were positioned for defense and resistance. These defense systems were designed to delay Allied advances and kill as many as possible. The engineering of the bunkers built by all countries during World War II is nothing short of a miracle. On the one hand, the war sky was full of shortages of everything from above, and all these challenges, along with the threat of airstrikes at every passing moment, and on the other hand, workers also died of suffocation in the construction of underground tunnels. But all of these, despite the challenges, thousands of bunkers were not only built, but many of them are still hidden underground, especially those built in the Axis power countries. After World War II, when their rule ended, the soldiers either closed the entrance to the bunker and fled or died inside it. Therefore, no one knew which bunker was built at which location. There was one way to find out the location of all these bunkers and tunnels, and that was the secret documents available with Hitler's government, but they were also either burned or hidden in a place that only the person who hid them knew about. In particular, these bunkers were built by camouflaging them, that is, they were built in natural terrain in such a way that no one would know that there was a military bunker here. That is why these bunkers remained hidden after the war. Special ventilation for underground bunker systems were created that would bring fresh air into the bunker and carbon dioxide out. Nazi leader Adolf Hitler resorted to several bunkers during his reign. The most famous bunkers used by him were the Eagle's Nest, also known as the Karlstein House. It was built at an altitude of 5,000 feet in the Upper Sea area of Germany for secret meetings and relaxation of the Norwegian leadership. It was made of concrete and granite and had bomb-proof features such as Hitler's second most famous bunker, the Führerbunker in Berlin. Built in 1944, this bunker was not just a bunker, but it was an entire headquarters. The bunker was designed in such a way that it was protected from Allied bombings and artillery. Hitler spent his last days here and ended his life here on April 30th, 1945. Today, no part of this bunker is visible on the surface, but this place is a part of the history of World War II. The art chapter has been. Now let's talk about one of Hitler's bunkers where he spent the most days of the war. This bunker called Wolf's Lair looks more like a castle, located in the middle of a forest in North Germany. Inside it was Hitler's bedroom and offices all around it. Its concrete roof was made about 7 meters thick. A thick layer of gravel made the entire castle like bunker safe from airstrikes and bombings. A thick steel sheet door that also protected it from chemical attacks. This bunker, which looked like an Egyptian tomb, was so strong that it is impossible to destroy it even today. The security was so high that not a single window was placed in it. A special ventilation system was installed here that circulated fresh air throughout the bunker. Despite such security, this bunker was made invisible in the forest landscape. The same trees and plants that were present in the forest nearby were planted on its roof with soil. Due to this, when someone came from above, if the ship had passed by, it would not have suspected that Hitler's headquarters was down here. The Allied powers, for example the USA, the UK, Canada and other forces, had spent years planning to break through Germany's strong defensive bunkers and Atlantic Wall in the North Sea. To counter Hitler's Atlantic Wall, they had deployed more than 156,000 troops, 5,000 ships and 11,000 of aircraft were used. It was June 6, 1944, which is remembered as D-Day. On that day, Germany faced the Allied forces from the bunkers and artillery of the Atlantic Wall, but their planning and resources were not that effective. The Allied air struts and paratroopers fought well against the German communications and defenses. The Allied forces suffered a lot of losses in the beginning, but eventually they succeeded in breaking the North Sea German control over Europe. I hope you will like and share this video of past empires. Thank you very much for your loving comments. I will see you in the next wonderful video.